Don't go, girl. Kulprit just got back from a concert. D here. It is time for a review of the new Durs and Grand Monklin EP titled The Reasons. For this review, I was supposed to have Dakota West help me out. Dakota West is a friend of mine, rapper, fashion entrepreneur, but for whatever reason, he's not here. Haven't heard from him since. There is a spider on this wall that is bugging me. Hold on. Balls. I apologize about that. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Anyway, yeah, Dakota West, he's a no-show. Anyway, Durs and Grand Monk are the two people collaborating on this project called The Reasons. And I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong on any of these. On the mixtape cover it says Grand Monk. On the SoundCloud title it says Grand Monklin. And on social media like Twitter and SoundCloud it says ELY or Eli. So if I'm butchering anything, I apologize. But Durs is the beat maker for this project, and Grand Monk is the MC providing the rhymes, and the two coming up with an EP. As far as the instrumentals go on this thing, Durs brings some kind of off-kilter, interesting beats on here. They're very reverbed out, a little bit cloud rap influenced, I would say. Most of these kind of have a little bit of an indie rock feel, in all honesty, with some reverbed out, echoey guitars and very subtle percussion. Percussion that you wouldn't really expect to be a choice for the instrumentals. Here's my issue with the instrumentals on this thing, is that they seem to have lost some quality. And I don't know where that happened. They seem a little bit watery. They don't seem to have as much treble as they should. And it's not the beat style. I'm not saying the beat stylings or the sample choices or instrumentation choices used in the beats is what's wrong here. All of them are kind of nebulous and don't have as much of a definition as say maybe like a trap beat. But somewhere this thing just diminished in quality and isn't as clear and as crisp as they should be, or so it sounds like. It kind of sounds like when you download a song off YouTube, you know how it's not as good quality as the CD version would be. And I don't know if this happened somewhere in the exporting process of the beat, somewhere in the mixing the vocals and the beat together. I know SoundCloud has a tendency when you upload an MP3 file to make it diminish in quality when it processes, so maybe that's what happened, since I am listening to it via SoundCloud. But the beats just don't have as much of a presence, especially with them being very, very unique. I'm not going to be real nitpicky as far as styling of the instrumentals goes. I mean, I think they could have been a little bit punchier. A lot of these beats, they vary from each other, but a couple of them have a similar feel, but nothing really too major. Now this is the thing that I really wanted to talk about, and that is lyrical content and flow on this thing. King Monk delivers a consistent flow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with his flow as far as technicality and being on time and enunciating. He's got all that down for the most part. There's no issue there. The part where I think there is much to be desired, or where I could have used more explanation, I guess you could say. There are a lot of moments where there seems to be a theme of struggling with theology, struggling and looking at theology through my pen, and philosophy, just from a evaluating point of view, and really questioning the higher things in this world. And here's what my issue is. Ever since Kendrick Lamar and Mac Miller and people similar to them got more notoriety and became the top dogs in the game, a lot of artists are trying to make things more conceptual and make them deeper. But an error that a lot of young artists are running into is, instead of actually coming up with a deep idea or a deep concept and playing these storylines and thoughts out, they're just adding bigger words in there to have it be the appearance of something that is deep and thought-provoking. And not totally, but on a lot of moments here on this thing, I feel like that's kind of what's going on. I feel like Monk just kind of grabbed a thesaurus and looked at big words that rhymed and that were related to his song and just wrote them down and made them rhyme, which I will commend the skill to take these, you know, $2 words and have them fit together and flow and rhyme. But I think a lot of it is just smoke and mirrors. You know, I feel like, yeah, there are a lot of fancy words used here, but I feel like he might start out with what seems like it's going to be a good idea and then just kind of left turns out of nowhere into a different thought and nothing is really completed, and I'm just kind of left standing there scratching my head. He can make you go, huh, with just one line, and sometimes it just seems like rambling. With that being said, I do want to commend him for this. Right now in hip-hop, and for quite some time, there has been a lack of character. You know, we've had rappers, but they haven't really had personalities and characters that stick out. You know, they've been just kind of masked behind the chains and the snapbacks and the shades. Grant Monk, I don't know if it was done consciously or if it was unintentional, with this album, you know, a couple of times he references being an alien or being an outsider. So Grant Monk seems, with this EP, kind of like this character that was just dropped onto Earth and is off kilter with everyone else in the universe and is trying to figure out if his creation and his grand purpose comes from God, the God that we know, or a deity that is otherworldly and some different supernatural force. And for that, whether it was done on purpose or not, I think is very interesting, and I will commend a lot of creativity points in that aspect of it. And I'm not saying that the rapping is totally unenjoyable. I'm not saying that it's just the most shallow and semantic music ever. There are some nice moments on this thing. There's definitely passion in Monk's flow. There's a nice some nice features. A couple coming from Shane Thomas, and one coming, I forget the rapper's name, on the very first track, February. I really enjoy whoever did the feature on here, just that breathy delivery and kind of that inflection going up at the end of each line. And let me say this, I think it's very nice to hear a rapper that's not just talking about sex, drugs, money, and then lather, rinse, repeat on just those three things. It's nice to hear a rapper bring some, you know, a little bit of philosophy to the table, a little bit of theology and religious questioning, and talking about an internal struggle with those two subjects. And it's also nice to hear a rapper talk about a relationship or a female object of affection without being totally degrading toward them, and actually putting them somewhat on a pedestal and talking about how the separation from that said object of affection kind of made the world come crashing down. Aside from that, not too many other things to really talk about, not too many other things to nitpick. I mean, there's a couple spots where, you know, the vocals kind of got drowned out with an effect, and I couldn't really make out what the line was supposed to be for a word or two. But you know, for an independent release, it's not that bad, especially for something in the Oklahoma hip hop scene right now. It's very different, and it sticks out from what's going on right now. While I say this album it's not totally my thing, and I wasn't, you know, incredibly blown away by it, I think there are some issues and just a little bit of fine tuning and evolution that needs to be done with this thing, as with every artist there needs to be. I think it's worth a listen, even if it's not something you revisit later on. If it's not something that you're going to constantly have in your phone or your iPod at all times. definitely give this thing a listen, especially if you like indie rap, something that's more conscious, something that's more laid back and chill. I'm feeling a 2 out of 5 on this thing. Anything else I can review, let me know. You can submit things for review on my Twitter, just at Kulprit, and if I think it is it's decent enough to review, or you talk me into it, I'll probably upload a video on the channel. But fair warning, I will be completely unbiased and subjective, no matter how many things you offer me. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you.